Hello everyone, welcome to Crafty Garden and part 2 of my Fleece to FO series. This is part 2B where I'm going to be talking about making Rolags. So these are Rolags that I've made from my Fin fleece, and I've actually completely finished hand carding all of my Fin fleece. Now I'll remind you I got this fleece at Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival, and this video is part of a series. So if you haven't seen part 1 and you'd like to learn more about this series and what I'm doing, then I recommend watching part 1 where I go into the details and show you how I washed and prepared my Corriedale fleece and my Fin fleece. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I make these Rolags. So I am using my hand cards. These are Schacht hand cards. They have 72 teeth or tines per inch. So this is the really dirty one, so let me show you the slightly cleaner one. Yeah, they have 72 of these tines per inch, which is pretty good. It's like a average medium TPI, and so I think, for example, my drum carder that I talked about in my drum carding video has 128, so this has 72, and then cotton cards would have a lot more, and you can even have less than 72. So anyways, I just thought I'd let you know what I have and what I'm using. So these are the Schacht curved hand cards, and yeah, so I'm just going to readjust the camera here in a minute, and I'm going to show you how I make the Rolags. Okay, I pulled out my Corriedale fleece, a bit of the raw fleece, and some of the washed, locks. And I thought I would just show you, as an example, how I took the Fin fleece and put them on the hand cards. Now I've completely hand carded all of the Fin fleece, so I don't have any more locks to show you. That's why I pulled out the Corriedale fleece locks. And I pulled out the raw locks because I think it's a bit easier to see where the cut end is and where the tips are, the outside. So this would have been growing on the outside of the animal, and then this would have been up against the skin. So what I did for the Fin fleece is I always took my washed clean locks. These are raw, of course, but I would take them and I would always lay them towards the edge of the cards like that, and always with the cut end going down onto the tines, and then the tips hanging down like that. And then I would card from the tips like this. Okay, and I'm not going to do that because, like I said, this is just for an example. So I have already completely hand carded the entire Fin fleece, and here's all that. This bag is all that I have left. I've actually been spinning, and this is how far I have left to go, and then I'm completely done with my spin. It has flown by. So I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys how I make these Rolags so you can see that part of the journey as well. And what I've been doing is recarding some of the Rolags that I made quite a while ago because they've gotten too condensed, and they don't like to draft as nicely as a freshly hand-carded Rolag would. So I have been recarding them and leaving them a little bit airier than I did before, which is something I've learned that I prefer when I'm spinning. I prefer a freshly carded Rolag is nice and open and easy to spin. So what I'm going to do is just take the Rolag that I want to recard, and I'll start laying it down on the edge of my hand card. And I just try to evenly distribute it across, don't card your finger, across the bottom. I don't want to go up too high. And then now I'm going to take my other card, and I'm going to lightly card. Kind of think of it as combing, but that's technically not. Combing is a different preparation, but I'm carding, and it's transferring it to this hand card. And I just kind of have this rocking motion that transfers it. So if I just go like this, it's not really going to transfer. So if I add this extra little motion, that's a bit more exaggerated than it needs to be, but and I just work my way up until I clean off the fiber, and that's completely transferred. And I'll usually do that twice. If I was putting locks on here that hadn't been prepared at all, then I would maybe do it 2 to 3 times minimum. Now I choose to switch hands. Some people reverse the motion and put the locks back on that way, or there's a couple different ways. I don't really care for that, so I prefer to just switch my hands and transfer it that way. So like I said, I usually only do that twice for these, and that looks pretty good. It's already been carded and everything, so it's nice and open. And so now what I like to do is, there's 2 ways I can do this. In the past, I always would take my hands and I would fold the fiber back down onto the card, like so. And then I'll use my other card to form the Rolag on the hand card. So I'll show you what that looks like. I just put my hand here, just kind of keeping this from coming completely off, just kind of holding it down a little. And then I lightly kind of push it off of the card. And then without putting too much pressure, I roll it on top of the tines. Okay, and I don't want to condense it too much, and that's my Rolag. So now I can make it a little nest if I want, like that, which I do like to do that. And then I'll set it aside. Okay, and then so I just keep repeating that until, well, I've already hand carded these. I could just spin all of them as they are, but some of them really aren't that nice because they've just been sitting around for a while and they've gotten kind of smushed, and they're just a bit condensed and not light and airy and fluffy. So once again, I'm just starting at the end. If I had locks on here that I hadn't carded yet, I would have the tips down here, and I would just be lightly opening up the tips, and then once those were nice and open, I would start working a little bit more, a little faster. I'd move that to the other card. So this will be the second time, and this is all I need for these because they've already been hand carded. Okay, and so the other thing I started doing, so I kind of mentioned this before, is that instead of folding it over with my hands, I started just pressing it over with the card like that. And then same thing, I put this down on my knee. I usually bring my knee up so it, because these are curved, it gives it a nice place to rest. And I just lift the fiber up from the edge, it kind of pulls it off of the teeth. And I'm sorry, I use teeth and tines interchangeably. I think different people say different things. So so I just lift those off and then lightly roll it back onto the hand card, onto the teeth, and that's it. That is my Rolag. And make it into like a little nest. It's just like a little knot, very carefully. Don't want to condense it. Mistakes I made in the past was making Rolags that were really dense, and how I would do that was by rolling it a little bit more aggressively onto the tines, onto the teeth. I would squish out a lot of that air. And I don't know, I thought they looked nice at the time, but that's not really what, well, I don't know, maybe somebody would want it for some reason, but I found that when I go to spin these, that it's much nicer to have a open, airy Rolag that's not condensed down. And some of them really are, you know, I think because I carded them so long ago, they're really not that nice to spin. They resist. They kind of. They make drafting a little bit harder. Okay, so last time I'm going to show this. I take my other card and I push the fiber back onto the teeth, like so. And then now what I'm going to do is just take this card and kind of push up so it pulls these up off like that. So I push it up, and I'm using my hand to kind of keep this down. And then now I'm just going to lightly roll, not a lot of pressure, not a lot of force or anything, just lightly roll this back onto the teeth. And if it wants to open up, you can roll it a couple more times. If you want to fix the edge a little bit, you can move it over and roll. You always want to roll the same direction, but you don't want to over roll it. You don't want to really like push down too hard because that will really condense it. And this way I'm getting a nice, light, airy Rolag. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you liked my How I Make Rolags video. And I'm super excited to show you how I spin these. And I've been doing kind of a long draw. I think there's different types of long draw, and I'm not 100% sure what the exact type of long draw that I'm doing, but I'm hopefully going to try and get a video of that pretty soon and show you what that looks like really soon, because all I have left is this little bit, and I will be completely done with my spin. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the series and enjoy getting to see the journey that I'm taking, and I certainly I like taking you guys along with me. I think it's fun to share, and so you can see the process. And man, am I so excited to finish this spin, and daydreaming about what I can make with all of my yarn. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.